A substation alarm panel flashes red as a new load request hits, 800 megawatts. Across the fence, a data center hums like a sealed engine room. Cooling towers vent white steam into the night air. Fiber lines pulse under the gravel like veins. The evidence is blunt. The grid is being rewired around machine customers. You stand on a service road and watch the plug happen in real life. High voltage lines run toward a campus built for uptime, not community. Inside, racks drink power and reject heat like heavy industry. Outside, your town argues over rates and transformer upgrades. In 2025, the IEA projected data center electricity use doubling by 2030. It climbs toward about 945 terawatt hours in their base case. That's just under 3% of global electricity. It grows around 15% per year from 2024 to 2030. It doesn't feel like a crisis because it arrives as paperwork. Interconnection studies stretch into calendar years. Equipment lead times widen, and utilities pre-spend to stay ahead. Then baseload turns into a private asset. In June 2025, Meta signed a 20-year nuclear power deal. It tied to 1,121 megawatts from Illinois' Clinton plant. That isn't a green story. It's a reliability claim written in decades. So here's the central question. When AI becomes the priority customer, who is left holding the bill? Who gets power when you can't outbid a server? Seal broken, file open. Demand spike, policy shortcuts. You sit in the back row of a state utility hearing room. A consultant clicks through load curves that climb like a wall. No one says AI like it's a threat. They say large load additions and economic development. The first signal is scale. In 2025, 1. S&P global forecast put U.S. data center demand near 61.8 gigawatts. That forecast projected demand nearly tripling by 2030. The grid hears that as a construction order, not a trend. The second signal is where it concentrates. In 2025, PJM's outlook pointed to roughly 32 gigawatts of peak growth by 2030. Almost all of it came from data centers, not households. That changes everything about planning, because it's load that never sleeps. The third signal is the shortcut. In July 2025, a federal executive order pushed faster permitting for data centers. It targeted projects above 100 megawatts of new AI load. That threshold is a confession. These are grid events. By 2026, the billing mechanics catch up. Utilities don't just charge you for energy. They charge for readiness, wires, transformers, backup capacity, and upgrades. When a single campus needs the power of a small city, costs spread outward. Sometimes they land on households before the promised jobs arrive. And geopolitics pushes the accelerator. China frames nuclear build-out as industrial resilience, not just decarbonization. Targets around 120 to 150 gigawatts by 2030 set the pace. In the US, the pressure to win compute squeezes review timelines. Build speed becomes national advantage. Why AI feels like heavy industry? You step into a white aisle where the air feels engineered. The hum is constant, like a turbine that never idles. Liquid cooling lines run along racks like arteries. The building doesn't feel digital. It feels industrial. Here's the analogy. An AI data center is a factory that makes predictions instead of parts. It turns electricity into decisions 24/7. Old data centers behaved like office towers with good cooling. AI centers behave like compact manufacturing plants. Power density is the giveaway. A standard rack once drew 7 to 10 kilowatts. AI racks now pull 30 to 100 plus kilowatts, often with liquid cooling. Some 2025 designs push beyond that. That's a tenfold jump inside the same footprint. Training is why the load feels relentless. It draws steady power for days, like a production line that can't pause. Inference is why the load never relaxes. Millions of queries stack into a permanent base load. It's not a stadium spike. It's a new city that never sleeps. Efficiency helps, but it doesn't cancel scale. Top operators report PUE near 1.1 in modern fleets. Some regions push new builds toward 1.2 by policy. But when demand triples, efficiency becomes a speed bump. Then the true bottleneck shows up. It isn't only generation, it's delivery. Transformers, substations, interconnection slots, and cooling water decide timelines. The grid isn't running out of electricity first. It's running out of build time. Baseload contracts, quiet capture. Your bill is negotiating with a data center. You open a new rate sheet, and the language sounds harmless. Reliability rider, capacity adjustment, infrastructure recovery. No one writes, your town lost the bidding war. The capture starts with contracts, not headlines. Big buyers sign long deals for firm power, then lock in priority. Utilities love it because it stabilizes revenue for decades. Developers love it because it guarantees financing at scale. Households don't get a seat because households don't sign 20-year terms. Then capacity markets do what markets always do under constraint. They price fear. When the grid needs more ready-to-run power, the insurance gets expensive. That cost shows up even when your usage stays flat. You're paying for the system to stand by, for someone else's uptime. The next capture is interconnection priority. A campus that needs 500 megawatts doesn't wait politely. It funds studies, upgrades, and dedicated substations to move ahead in line. The grid calls it cost causation. In practice, it's a fast lane that reshapes geography. By 2028, utilities start carving out new large load tariff classes. The language promises fairness, but the fight is always timing. If upgrades arrive late, the cost rolls into general bills first. If upgrades arrive early, communities absorb construction disruption either way. This is how baseload becomes leverage. Not by taking power from you directly, by making you pay more for what remains. 2026 to 2036, nuclear pivot. In 2026, the first shock is not a blackout, it's a queue. Interconnection requests stack up until 2029. Sounds optimistic. The grid doesn't fail loudly. It fails slowly, through delays. Equipment becomes the choke point. You can't out software. Transformers take years, not months, and that stretches every project. So planners reach for the fastest reliable options first. Gas fills gaps because pipelines are schedulable. Transmission expands where politics allows it. And nuclear comes back because it's firm power in a decarbonizing world. By 2028, life extension becomes the quickest nuclear new build. Uprates add incremental megawatts without waiting a decade. Utilities start treating surviving plants as anchor assets for compute regions. Tech firms treat them as stability, not ideology. Then the bigger shift lands between 2032 to 2036. AI load stops being growth and becomes critical infrastructure, permitting corridors accelerate, especially near existing industrial zones. Data center geography rewires around firm power and cooling water. Some regions win because they can build fast. Others lose because they can't approve anything without years of litigation. This is where the US and China competition becomes mechanical. China's nuclear expansion stays framed as throughput and resilience. In the US, the pressure to win compute squeezes review timelines. Environmental rules don't disappear. They get bypassed through exceptions, emergency findings, and quiet procedural speed. By 2036, nuclear isn't a nostalgia play. It's a response to a load that behaves like heavy industry. And heavy industry always chooses the cheapest path to certainty. 2037 to 2046, life under peak. By 2039, electricity stops feeling flat. It becomes a schedule you live inside. Your thermostat has a price signal. Your car charger has a window. Your home feels normal, but it is negotiated every day. You follow a human anchor through a weekday in 2042. She is a nurse in Phoenix, early shift, 2 kids, tight budget. Her utility plan gives cheaper power from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. So she runs laundry at 2 a.m. and charges the car at 3 a.m. At 6 p.m., her bill spikes because the system is strained again. A heat wave hits, and a nearby compute campus refuses curtailment. The contract says critical load, and the grid obeys the contract. She turns the AC up 2 degrees and hears her kids complain. She isn't angry at technology. She's angry at priorities she never chose. The upside is real when upgrades land. By the early 2040s, blackouts are rarer in rebuilt corridors. Grid operators run predictive control like air traffic management.
Confirmed. Trajectory.
When storms hit, the system reroutes load with machine speed. Hospitals and cooling centers stay powered longer. The twist is who gets reliability first. By 2045, firm power is a credential for cities and companies. Regions without baseload live in permanent volatility and higher prices. Some households buy reliability the way they once bought insurance. That is the point of no return, because it reshapes migration and inequality. The grid becomes an operating system, and AI is its hungriest app. Verdict: the new energy class. The verdict is not that AI uses electricity. It is that AI becomes a priority customer with contract-grade certainty. Once that happens, the grid stops behaving like a public service. It starts behaving like a market where the strongest buyers set the baseline. The winners are predictable. Owners of firm capacity win because reliability becomes the product. Developers with fast permits win, because lead time decides geography. Utilities win when large load tariffs and capacity riders expand revenue. Regions with spare baseload win because they can sell certainty to compute. The losers look ordinary, and that's the danger. Renters absorb rate increases with no hedge and no rooftop option. Small businesses pay peak charges that feel random by 2034. Old industrial towns lose when power is diverted to server corridors. Households lose mobility when time of use becomes a lifestyle tax. Geopolitics isn't ideology here. It's build speed as national advantage. In the US, the pressure to compete squeezes review timelines. Rules don't vanish. They get bypassed through exceptions and procedural speed. China keeps building nuclear because it stabilizes an electrified economy. Compute wants the same thing everywhere: firm power and predictable uptime. 3 structural risks lock the system in. First, multi-year equipment bottlenecks make scarcity pricing feel permanent. Second, baseload concentration creates regional inequality you can't vote away. Third, legitimacy erodes when households pay for reliability they can't access equally. There is a controlled upside if treated like infrastructure. If cost causation is enforced, large loads pay their upgrades fully. If transmission is built faster, clean power scales without scarcity rents.
As you can
If
see,
nuclear
the
and
reactor works
storage
in
are
conjunction
deployed
with the battery
transparently,
bank, visualized by these teal
reliability
rings
improves
representing
for
energy
everyone.
stability.
Without that governance, AI becomes a private claim on the public grid. The lever: firm capacity, interconnection priority, fast permitting corridors. The bill: households and small businesses paying volatility and upgrades. Point of no return: when compute becomes critical load by contract and law. You close the file. The numbers are real. The timelines are closing. Whatever path we choose, the future has already begun assembling itself, piece by irreversible piece, while most of the world is still looking the other way. This was only one dossier. Many more are waiting.